Hello and welcome to yet another Warcraft 3 audio commentary casting sensational matchup of sensations with your host, Purebe, that's me, and the players who are going to be Thu, spawning as the human, teal in the lower right corner, versus Lyn, spawning in the upper left corner as the orange orc. So this map is, as you can see, a main block map, which means it's AWC, so it played for AWC map, awesome. Yeah, so this isn't undead versus human, it is human versus orc, but you know, it's Lyn versus Thu. You just, it's the players are so good, and there's a lot of players, there's a lot of good replays that are other races, but this is the one that I wanted to cast. I love the map, I love the matchup, so this is what I'm doing. It's a variety. I promise variety. It's variety. There's no undead. I was hoping to do maybe an orc versus elf, but, you know, that might be a little too contrived when you have a replay like this just sitting here waiting to be casted. So, as you can see, the early game commentary, we do see the Blade Master coming out. We see the early shop, so he's going to have the items to buy and run around, and he's going to get his grunts a little later than some of the other early game orc builds would have, where you get the barracks before the shop. But this is where we see this is what's going on over here. We see the peon scout coming down, just scouting, pretty standard to see a scout. We have a footman out on the map. It's doing what it's doing. We have over here the archmage, the militia, a little bit of lag actually. Not sure what that's all about, but yeah, the peon is going to scout this. This is a pretty early build. He used 2 pit peasants to build that altar, which is going to allow him to creep this before that Blade Master can come out and harass him, which may or may not be the Blade Master's intention, because of course humans have the ability to creep very quickly on these sort of maps. We do see the footman coming into scout, very similar to what we see a lot of times against undead now, where the footman comes in initially. However, there are burrows, so innately the footman really can't do as much against an orc base as it could maybe do against a unprotected undead base. A little bit of proper speed scroll usage there. It might net him a kill and it might not. He speed scrolled in from about down through here, and he is going to manage to pick off a peasant for that, and that was really well done, because if he hadn't had that timing down absolutely precisely, he would not have gotten that militia kill. As you can see, it was so very close to being safe. So that was really well done by Lyn, who's of course one of the best players in the world, if not the best right now in Warcraft 3. He is quite good. I'm not, trying to say anything. Thu is also, of course, very good. But just a little bit of commentary about how amazing Lyn is right now, and has been for some time. And we do see that a little bit of that grunt taking a little bit of damage right there. A little bit of the, oh, another militia might actually fall down, but it looks like it's going to be, nope. Got that perfect, perfect range. I think that was absolutely the exact max range, perhaps, for the Blade Master. It looked very close to it. If not, it was very, very, very close to not getting that kill. That was well done, of course. Well done, of course, and we're watching professional players, of course. Most things are going to be well done. This is a recommended replay on WCR or WCReplays.com. Which is where I get a lot of the replays from, because they're good. They're very enjoyable. So if you're interested in watching some replays, you can always go check that out. It's whenever I always have a link to the replay, and I do believe so far they've been all from WCR. That won't always be the case, but these are some great games. It's a great place to get them. So and I'm only saying all this basically because I wanted to segue into saying WC Replay's replay section is really active right now, and it kind of was on a hiatus for a little while, but ever since Elven Lord joined the staff team, it has been pretty booming. So just a little quick tip. If you're interested in watching replays, you may not be. A lot of people just like to watch casts these days. I think that's a little sad, because replays, I used to really, really enjoy watching them all the time, every day. In fact, I was a replay approver at replayers.com for a while, a good many months, years. I don't really know. I'm not good with time, but it was a while, and I enjoyed it. And now I'm like totally not talking about the game. It's not really a huge amount going on. We just see a little bit of action happening right here. We see Thu running away basically from the orc army, which is really strong at this stage in the game. He has those boots on the Blade Master as well as that gloves of haste, so he's probably gonna be able to pick off this footman if he so desires. And he might not chase it because he doesn't have enough mana actually to do the windwalk. So never mind. I take that back. It looks like it's pretty safe. It is a lot of damage going off onto the human, but if we notice that shop is coming up, and basically what's going to happen is he's going to be able to just, since he's had it, he's getting the damage spread out across, he's kind of just delaying the early game. He's going to be able to just pop a heal scroll and get everything back up to full unless he actually loses something. Like right here, I think he's going to lose that footman, and down it goes. It's not very good for Thu, pretty good for Lin. So, especially on this matchup, on this map, because one of the things you see on this matchup on this map, which is fairly common in this matchup in general, is where you have this Beastmaster second, you get the summons, and you try to go pick off burrows and buildings that are being built. So here we're not going to really be able to see Thu do all that much, simply due to the fact that Lin has just had a very controlling early game. However, we do see a bit of focus fire going down on the Blade Master. It's going to be forced to run away and probably have to buy a healing potion. And as we can see, he's going to probably have to use it as well, but he might not because he does have those healing salves. He does end up having to use it. The Base Master is actually trapped, but he's using a pretty nice little system with his summoned units to keep himself from being, to untrap himself. I'm not sure if he was ever fully trapped, but either way, we see the Lin going for the Beastmaster and forcing a TP from Thu. He forced it with this TP scroll and a hex. We do see a footman who is going to die here. It's been hexed. Not a lot of damage has really been done by Thu, but basically he's delayed it a little bit, and he's going to be able to come over here and heal up, and so not too bad. We do see the casters coming out, which is really important. He needs the casters to be able to deal with the orc army at this point. The slow is incredibly important. Really well use of the what's this called? These trees right here. This little path you have that they can't quite, that the Blade Master and Grunts quite can't fit into by running his cool beast that way. It was quite impressive, and also it's quite a nice move to go ahead and start to aggro these creeps, because what it does is it forces the Ogre Magi to Bloodlust a unit a little bit earlier, and it makes the Orc take a bit extra damage by having an extra Bloodlusted unit. Whenever he decides to come over here and start creeping that right after he was done dealing with the Quill Beast. And so now he has a little bit more damage taken to him with a tower push on the way. So that's a really nice, it's a really small little thing that Thu did right there with this Quill Beast, but it was really good. It was really well done, and it might be pivotal, we'll see. Because Lin is currently having to heal on his base, and with this Quill Beast, he's like, I can cancel your salves, so he's forcing more mana usage on the Blade Master with Windwalk. So as you can see, all of this happening from that little Quill Beast move, causing that bloodlust. And again, of course, you know, this would sort of be happening regardless, of course, but like I said, I'm saying it, I just want to say that there's more of an emphasis on it now, because otherwise, as you can see, the Blade Master would be full HP, that Grunt would be full HP, very much closer to full HP. I don't know how close it would be, but it would be nice. We do see a Demolisher out in play, which is a good counter, of course, to the guard towers. We actually already have 3 guard towers up in the back, which are in range of the Bestiary, which is not going to be good for Lin, because I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that alive. There are summons, and it's not exactly an easy place to repair, and with only 1 Demolisher, he's not really going to be able to do too terribly much. There's not a huge army from Thu right now. Lin does have the army advantage in terms of food size, absolutely, about 10 food stronger, but with the summons and with the slow, it does make up for it, I think, for Lin, as well as these towers. So as you can see, this Bestiary is going to fall, which isn't good for Lin, because he really would like to have those Raiders out. They're really helpful, as you can see. Ensnare helps him pick off casters and such things. He is doing his best to keep this up, and he's actually put quite a few more peasants on, or peons on here, to get out another Raider, and it may very well actually end up staying up. However, he is focusing on those peons now with this Quill Beast, so it'll be interesting to see. A peon does go down over there, and a bit more focus fire going down onto that Bestiary. It would be quite impressive if he manages to keep this alive. However, I think it's probably going to fall after this Raider, and he probably won't get any more use out of it. But Lin has done a good job to get 2 extra Raiders out of there, whereas perhaps most players would have only gotten 1. And actually, what do you know? Very clutch, very close, and Thu managed to pick that off as I was, just to make a liar out of me, just as I was saying that was incredibly close, very insane, very well done by Thu. So very nice. We do see that if you note that he is taking this demolisher and he's not exactly attacking the guard towers. Really not all that interesting to attack the guard towers. This is really more to be able to kill these casters, which are unarmored and they take extra damage from siege, whereas the guard towers, they are heavy and they don't take extra damage from siege. So, and the peasants do take reduced damage, but you know, killing the peasants if you can with your demolisher is not a bad idea, simply due to the fact that it prevents, you know, repairing and defends more towers from coming up, which is kind of an important thing. So here we do see all these summons. We do see quite a bit of damage going on to that demolisher. A little bit of summons just doing wherever, everything's kind of all over the place. With proper spirit link and healing wave usage, I don't think we're going to see too much damage going on to the orc army. However, some of the units are low and they're going to have to be healing salved soon, or healing waved or something, to get back to full HP. But I think that's probably about 2 healing waves away at level 1 healing wave from getting some of these units back to full HP, as well as the fact that they're taking all this damage now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Lin back off and put a salve on one of those. However, he does need to keep these raiders alive, because these raiders are currently his last raiders. He doesn't have another bestiary on the map. If he loses those raiders, he's going to be in a very unfortunate position where he won't be able to pick off units as easily, because if units can just walk back there, which is what they can do, especially against all these slowed units, unless he happens to use his speed scroll, which only affects the movement speed. It doesn't affect the attack speed, which is also reduced by the slow. So we do see that. I do believe we see a burrow going down, perhaps from just the summons, and a little bit of focus going on to this building burrow, taking a fair amount of damage. Yeah, and that is not exactly entirely terrible for Lin, simply because he does get a bit of extra experience from those summons. But he did lose a burrow, and he is food capped right now, so you know, it's trade-offs. He doesn't have a whole lot of wood right now, and so he probably, the biggest hit to losing that burrow probably came from the fact that he lost all that wood. Does happen a little bit of extra gold just kind of stockpiling, but not really going to be going to waste for the most part, because he has that shop and you can use items. Which, you know, items are quite good in this, against this sort of thing. We do have these 2 demolishers, and it's kind of a standoff right now. Thu simply doesn't have the army, I don't believe, to really force an engagement, although I think he is going to be working on that very quickly. He's bringing in more militia, so he's going to have a total of, it appears to be about 7, I believe, peasants out here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 peasants. Another sorcerer's dying. Again, the ensnare, the use of the demolishers, etc. Really, really pivotal against this sort of a thing. So that's why losing that bestiary was such a big deal. A speed scroll going off. Not exactly sure. Lin does go ahead and pick off one of those towers that was getting dangerously too close to other things. A summon is in here just working on lowering the HP of these peons. Just doing its best to harass, to screw over Lin's wood count, and he's not doing a terribly bad job of it. And this barracks is very close to going down. Lin is trying to pull out yet another demolisher. If he can get to 3, I don't think he would have too much of a trouble pushing this off. But and he is. It looks very much like he's going to be able to get to 3, but it's still not a guarantee, even if it does come out. So. And especially considering when it comes out, it has to either go back here where it's going to be vulnerable, or it's going to have to walk out through here where it may be slowed and perhaps even picked off before it can get to safety back behind the orc army. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. Again, we see another ensnare going off. Probably going to see a bit of focus from perhaps the demolishers, yes, onto the footmen here, taking quite a bit of damage. This demolisher does come out, and we do see actually Blizzard, which I believe is probably level 1 right now. I don't think he was able to retrain out of water elementals, and I'm not entirely certain he would want to, because he's doing quite a bit of harass just on these peasants. It's quite an interesting strategy. It's very entertaining to watch. As you can see, there's just so much going on, just all over the place. And now we're seeing a little bit of a push out from Lin, and we are seeing the Blizzard going off in the slow, doing quite a bit of focus onto the Blade Master. He goes ahead and picks off one of those towers and kind of backs up again, using a speed scroll to get out of position, to get, you know, back out. And we were seeing quite a bit of blizzarding going on to harass these demolishers. He definitely would like to kill the demolishers. If those demolishers died, I do believe Lin would probably be forced to call a good game, because right now they are a very, very important lifeline for him right now. As you can see, a lot of his units are very low, and again, with all these casters out in play, it's going to be very hard to pick anything off without the high damage from the demolishers, especially considering how many of these are unarmored units, because every caster is unarmored unit. It takes extra damage from the already very high output damage demolishers. So we're going to see the sorceress die. It's going to drop. That's another, again, like I said, very important use of the raiders. So he really doesn't want to lose those raiders. Also very well done by ensnaring and hexing the archmage, which interrupts his channeling effect. However, it appears that one of the demolishers has gone down. The archmage is very close to dead, and he actually falls down, or dies, because he was ensnared and hexed, and I believe he did attempt to cast invisibility on his archmage. However, if an invisible unit is ensnared, then you can see it. So very well done by Lin there, very well done, and he's managed to keep two of the demolishers alive, and he's rebuilt his bestiary, so he's working on getting another raider out. However, he has lost his barracks at this point, so he can't actually rebuild the demolishers. I think he's going to be fine right now. I think he's going to be fine. I do. It looks like he's going to be fine. We do see a little bit of, we do see the guard tower arcane sentry being researched, which allows the towers to see invisible units. So whenever the Blade Master walks by, it's taking damage from all those towers, and perhaps maybe a couple hits from here and there. The Archmage, I believe, has been taverned revived, and it's back in play, back on the map. So we shall see more blizzards. Blizzards are quite effective against this sort of engagement, because what's going on here is you have all these units clumped up. They're slow, they can't really go anywhere, and so whenever you cast Blizzard, they just start to take a lot of damage. The summons are still just doing their best to work on these peons, work on just harassing a little bit, but now they've kind of, for the most part, been replaced by these guard towers right here. Also due to the fact that the Archmage had died, so a lot of that Brilliance Aura, which was definitely helping fuel everything, was gone for a little bit. So we'll probably see that resume a little bit more now, and of course clarities are going off, so that's good. As you can see, his base, he's just tier 2, he has level 2 masonry research, of course, for these towers is quite important. Bringing in more towers, more Blizzard, forcing the Orc to get away, forcing the ensnares to be cast onto the Archmage, which is also good because it allows his casters a little bit of breathing room, because if the ensnares are going off on the Archmage, they're not going off on the casters, and if the casters aren't ensnared, they are very unlikely to die. Quite a bit of damage going out onto these towers as they're being built and put up, and we do see, I'm not sure if this is strategically feeding XP to the Orc. I'm not entirely sure what is going on through his head right now, but this is quite interesting. It's very interesting. It's a pretty much non-stop action so far. And there's just a lot of collateral damage going on pretty much everywhere you look. A lot of these units, as you can see, very low HP. The burrows are kind of damaged. The main's kind of damaged. Just kind of damage right there. Not too much, but it's very interesting. And basically, this is kind of, as you can see, the Orc army being pretty ragged, but holding together pretty well with the Spirit Link and the Healing Waves and the Speed Scrolls. So, unfortunately, Thu doesn't really have much of a way to pull out and kill these units, really. Doesn't really have too much of a way to hold them in place, because beyond the slow, which can be countered by a Speed Scroll. We do see breakers in play, actually, which is quite good, because the breakers can steal the Spirit Link, and as you can see, here we have this going off here. The ensnares are staying up, so the Archmage actually dies, and as you can see, there was really not a lot he could do, because his goal for keeping it alive was to use the invisibility, and of course the ensnare prevents that from kicking in, and he can of course dispel it. So we do see that. Neither one of these demolishers have gone down since all this has happened, but we do see a little bit of push going into focus and kill them. They will go down very quickly to caster focus, as you can see, and one of them does go down. The Beastmaster is taking a bit of focus, but he's going to be able to walk away. A Spirit Walker has dropped. That's not very good. The Spirit Lodge is down, so he can't rebuild that. Without Spirit Link, the towers pose a much more significant threat to the units that do quite a bit of damage, and but there is still one Spirit Walker alive in the back that I did not see, so that's good. If he loses that one, he'll be in quite a bit of trouble, especially because not only does he need that Spirit Link, he's really been relying on the dispels for the summons. We do see the actually, we do see Thu coming in here and making a push. Now that these towers have gone up, he's making a push. He says, I feel pretty safe over here in this part of your base because your army's over here, and you can't really walk over here and fight me right here because of all these guard towers I do have up, even though you've managed to have better hero levels than me, and you've managed to keep killing my Archmage, which he's killed twice. This is actually where the Spirit Lodge is. Well, it's gonna go down. I thought it was back there. Maybe I might have made a little mistake there. Looks like the Stronghold is taking quite a bit of damage, and actually the Stronghold is very likely to go down right here. The question I have right now is, what would happen if Lin decided to attack Thu's main base? And I think he could win that fight, because beyond the fact that you have some militia there, there's no towers. He does have the superior hero levels by quite a bit, actually. And a pretty good army size on him, really, if you look at it. It's 52. Well, I guess it's not quite as much anymore. In fact, I think Thu actually does end up having the advantage on the food count, which is a little bit surprising. But I don't quite know where that's all coming from. But I guess that's just the building breakers and the fact that he's got these casters. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but it is quite a bit, actually. The Archmage coming in again still doesn't have any way to really stay alive, but it is what it is. Lin has decided, you know, he's going to creep some. He's like, I can't really do much to protect this. I think his goal plan, his goal at this point is probably going to be to try to force a fight down here and try to win without those towers, without being in tower range. Thu, however, also saying, you know, cleverly, well, you may very well leave, but I'm going to go over here and creep as well, so I'm not going to let you have too much of a hero level advantage on me. Abandoning his gold mine, which is he has mined out fully, and he's bringing out these peons. So actually maybe his goal is simply to creep up, put up an expo, and I think that might actually be what it is. We might actually even see if he has a war mill up. He doesn't have a war mill up, so he's not going to be able to throw down any towers, but he may put some burrows back in here or something, and maybe even some buildings. So we're definitely going to have to see. That means also that this gold mine has run out, and so Thu is also not going to be able to really do too much right now. And of course you can mine while these are asleep, but you can't do that during the day. So he's going to have to come out here and creep it and put down a expansion if he wants to be able to match this. Or he needs to come in here and make a push that can actually kill all of this and prevent him from getting that expo. It's going to be interesting. Although, to be honest, even if he does have an expo up, it's not quite as much of a threat, simply due to the fact that he's not going to have any buildings. He has this shop back here that probably will go up, but then other than that, he has a burrow, an altar, and a bestiary. So it's not really all that much. He does have quite a bit of scouts going on. These are invisible, of course. So, you know, I think he's just kind of saying, Lin, just whenever you leave, I'm going to attack when you least expect it, which would be quite very entertaining and interesting to watch. Anyways, we do actually see that he gets some Cyclone, which is the Wand of the Wind. He gives you 3 charges of Cyclone, and that's actually going to probably be quite pivotal whenever we see this fight end up coming, because that is crazy good. Having 3 charges of Cyclone allows him to keep, you know, the Blade Master out for a good 9 seconds or so. If he so chooses to do it on the Blade Master, that's a lot of damage that would otherwise not be done. Or he could also choose to alternatively do it on perhaps the Shadow Hunter to pick off units where it may perhaps have wanted to go for a heal. And again, we do see that the Orc army just not really all that strong right now. And actually those summons are just going to go for that Demolisher, and if they pick off that Demolisher, that's a lot of the damage that is going to go down on these casters. You can see it's very close to dying, but we'll see. A fair amount of damage going off onto the Blade Master, but immediately he gets Wand of Winded, Cyclone. The Archmage is taking quite a bit of focus right now, and so I'm not sure what we're going to see. The Archmage dies. He actually goes down. All those ensnares are just going onto the Archmage, so that's very good for Lin. Very, very good for Lin. Just the Beastmaster is alive now, and the casters, and so we're going to see not really a lot of units have been picked off right here. We do see a lot of peasants coming here going for this Great Hall, but it's still going to go up. It's going to finish. I actually think Lin is going to pull this off. If you look at this, there's really just not enough to really kill any of the units. Thu's done an exceptional job with this the tower push at, you know, just destroying the base and keeping things down, but it does look like perhaps either he's made the wrong decision for attacking this, or he just doesn't have enough power to really pick off the units and do what he needs to do. And maybe if he had managed to kill that Demolisher, he would have been a little bit of better shape. But the fact that he immediately lost that Archmage is painful for him. And he does run back to his towers to retreat and, you know, try to do a little bit more damage to the buildings. But I don't think he's going to be able to pull this off. I'm not sure. It's very, very interesting at this point. The Archmage is still dead, so we do see, however, the Dire Quillbeast, which is gone invisible, coming out. We do have these towers right here, which is going to be the saving grace if if Lynn has decided to go up there and attack him. However, he has not decided to do that. We do see him coming right back here. Plenty of peasants or peons are still alive. The Great Hall has plenty of life, and that Demolisher is at full HP. So even though Lynn may have to end up rebuilding all of his buildings, such as his barracks and retech, to really get to a point where he can start making more units, he's in a pretty good spot, especially considering there's nothing down here to prevent him from just coming down here and attacking. And as you can see, that's pretty much what we're going to see happen, because there's no towers, and there's just going to be militia, and they're really not all that strong. They're going to be quite ragged, and against the army that we would see, I'm not too certain that it's going to be that big of a deal for Thu to deal with. And the Archmage is actually trapped at this point inside the base. If I don't, yeah, it looks like he is. So we do see his militia. They could end up getting ensnared, quite a few of them, and then being picked off. We see the Altar of Kings dying. We do see this army coming, but is it going to reach here in time? I don't know. I do believe the Archmage is actually going to die here, actually, again, right after being revived. Bad move to take down that altar, actually, because it basically allowed the Blade Master to get in there and the ensnares to go off and to kill him. He didn't see the Blade Master because it was windwalked, so that was pretty well done by Lynn. That was a pretty entertaining game overall. I kind of saw, I think we could see Thu was going to lose there towards the end. Just didn't have the army to deal with the Orc army, and those hero levels were just quite intense. However, I think if he had managed to just not lose that Archmage as much, he might have been able to pull it off. I don't know. It was really interesting that the Archmage was definitely a lot of that damage that he was relying on from that Blizzard to do the AoE damage to all those slowed Orc units. And without that, it was painful for him, very painful. So great game, good game. If you liked it, like the video if you want to.